Midlife crisis, inferiority complex, and settling. Those are just a few symptoms of the fear of old age. Hello, I'm Carla, psychotherapist and mindset coach, and on this channel, I help you get unstuck and reach your goals by exploring topics that shift your mindset so you can live your highest potential. We are finishing up chapter 14 of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and I'll be reading from the condensed version, Think and Grow Rich in 10 minutes a day. This is it, y'all. We are on chapter 14, How to Outwit the 6 Ghosts of Fear. This is video 3 of 3. We are finishing up the last 2 ghosts of fear, fear of old age and fear of death. And then he goes into talking about worry, as well as a 7th basic evil. So let's finish this strong. All right, fear of old age, the verdict. The fear of old age grows stronger as one gets older. You don't say. This fear owes its origins to the fear embedded now in our genes that old age will bring poverty and the fear inspired by religion of the world to come. On a less historical level, this fear can derive from a distrust of those seeking an inheritance, the possibility of ill health, and the fear of diminished sexual appeal/activity, and concerns over the loss of one's economic and physical freedoms. Yeah, we all do fear old age. Are we going to have enough money? Are we going to be beautiful enough? Are we going to be healthy enough? Are we going to be desirable enough? The result of the fear of old age, it can sometimes lead to immaturity and a debilitating nostalgia. Ooh, we see this all the time. People trying to stop the aging process by dressing or acting younger instead of really integrating their age and their maturity. And it doesn't have to be old. I mean, there's such great examples of people who age gracefully, so to speak, and it's all in their thinking. Wow, immaturity and a debilitating nostalgia. People who they're resisting the continuation of their life. We can't stop time, but we shouldn't fear old age. How can we embrace it? How can we change the paradigm? I think that's really what's happening these days. All right, and then the symptoms of the fear of old age, midlife crisis, sudden onset of immaturity in one's middle years, example, your 40s. I think that I don't know if this relates to today. Remember, I don't know if you remember, but when I was younger, when people turned 40, it was like over the hill. It was like the death. People had over the hill parties. Like once you turned 40, you're basically dead. Literally balloons were like gravestones, like over the hill. Everything's downhill from here. It was like a morning, like dun 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 dun. It was like a hearse. I mean, it was all fun and jokes, but it showed like the fears. That's crazy. So he's saying in the middle years, example, the 40s, that result from a fear of having passed one's best years. Wow. And you know what? That's so crazy because I think in the earlier chapter, he was saying, in the chapter on the transmutation of sexual energy, that most men and women don't even see success until after they're 40. So really, we fear that we're going to get old and that life ends at 40, but really we can change our mindset and see that that's when life starts. We've gotten all the silly stuff out of the way. We're ready to really live life with the maturity and the wisdom that we've gained. All right. Inferiority complex, thinking and speaking less of oneself because of one's age, thinking one is slipping. We're not as sharp as the youngins. We're not as healthy. We're not as beautiful. We're not as vibrant. We're not as desirable. But again, I think these are changing. I remember like no one would ever think that a woman in their 50s was a sex symbol, but wasn't it a few years ago that Shakira and Jennifer Lopez did the Super Bowl halftime show and they were just like, wow, if that's 50, 51, 52, I'm here for it. And men too. I have a lot of hope for us. And the last symptom, settling, failing to act on one's dreams or use one's imagination because of false thoughts that one is too old to learn or do anything new. This is so big. I don't know how old you are, but never think that you are too old or past your prime or that the dream is dead and buried. If it's still something that you desire, go for it. Get over this right now. Go to therapy, get a coach, do whatever the hell you have to do, get an exorcism. But if there's a dream still in your heart, do not think that your time has passed and the window has closed. You have nothing to lose. You're going to regret it. Please do it. Please, please, please do not settle. Do not give up on your dreams or goals or anything that you want in life. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Get over any fear that you have of old age. Please. All right. And then the last ghost of fear, the fear of death. I don't know why I'm so excited about this. Okay. So the verdict. Modern science and higher education have freed many men from the terrors of the fear of death. Okay, I think he's talking about as time goes on, science can get better and we're not as scared. The primary source is a fear of hellfire or nothingness, depending on one's religious beliefs or lack thereof. Yeah, like, is there life after death? Do we just stare into an abyss? Do we cease to exist? It's like, but I think that truly is what every single human being at some point in their life asks, like, what is it all about? Some people avoid that because it's just way too anxiety ridden and scary. It's like having an existential crisis. Why do we exist? Existential angst, existential anxiety, existential rage, pissed that we're even here. Who put us here? We didn't ask to be born. Life is painful. Life is suffering. We don't understand it. Are we being played? Is this some big cosmic joke? Yeah, fear of death. We'd have no idea what the hell's going to happen afterward or where we go. And religious beliefs, unfortunately, hellfire, you're going to burn in hell. All right. Results of the fear of death. If one can accept death as a reality, the thought can be passed out of the mind so that one can focus on service to others and a burning desire for achievement, both of which are the greatest cures for the fear of death. Oh my God, that's wonderful. Yeah, just accept death as a reality. Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, he was a Viennese psychiatrist, and he was a practitioner of existential therapy, searching for life's meaning, being at peace with one's existence, and eliminating the fear of death. So if one can accept death as a reality, we're all going there, the less we will fear death. And there's many ways there. Find what works for you. You know what's right for you. Whether it be a religious route, a spiritual route, it really doesn't matter as long as it feels good to you and you're not harming anybody. All right, so serving others, what a wonderful thing. That will cure the fear of death. And then he says, recognize that life is energy, and as such, following nature's laws, it cannot be created or destroyed. View death simply as another transition. So good. My mentor, Bob Proctor, was so amazing at describing death. Whenever he lost a loved one, he, spoke about grief. Of course, it's okay to cry and mourn the loss of the person you loved, but really, it's the physical body that fell away. Because when we think about energy or the presence of a person and the love that we had with them, that connection, it never goes away. And although we might not understand what the heck is really going on, I think deep down we know that we are not our bodies. There might be something a little bit more after. But right up until Bob passed, he always used to say he wasn't afraid of death. He didn't want to die. But his transition was so healthy. The way, the stories that his son, Brian Proctor, tells. There's a really great book he just put out. It's called My Father Knew the Secret. You can buy it on Amazon. It's really great. But yeah, he just had such a healthy view of death. And it doesn't mean it's not painful or like a little bit scary, right? It's like, who wants to die? But the more we can understand, it can take away the fear because, knowledge and understanding eliminates fear because the source of fear, worry, and anxiety is ignorance, just a state of not knowing. What cures that? Knowledge, faith, taking action, having a burning desire, like Napoleon Hill is saying. All right, symptoms of the fear of death: inaction, indecision or laziness resulting from a focus on death rather than being present in one's life. Yeah, being paralyzed with fear, not wanting to take any action, focusing on like, well, what's the point? Or being so fearful that we can't take any action. We're paralyzed with fear. Hoarding, a fear of poverty and leaving one's family without resources that manifests in hoarding behavior. Religious fanaticism, getting carried off by extreme religious doctrine as a way to make oneself feel more prepared for death. Ooh, you do see that. It's a false sense of control. Like we're so sure that what our doctrine is saying is right. And it works for a lot of people, to be honest. It really does. Like they have full faith. They are drinking the Kool-Aid. And honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. I personally don't believe in any specific religion or doctrine, but people who do believe a certain thing and they find peace in it, like if they find peace in it, good for them, God bless. But he's talking about fanaticism. It's like, people beat each other over the head with their doctrine or their dogma. I'm not on board for that. All right. That was the 6th ghost of fear, fear of death. So we covered fear of old age and fear of death. And he ends this chapter with talking about worry. The 6 basic fears become translated into a state of worry through indecision. Worry is a state of mind that results from fear. It occurs when a fear has become so embedded in the subconscious that it unsettles the mind, making one feel helpless and unable to make decisions. It destroys self-confidence and reduces an individual's ability to take action on his or her dreams. That was me for so long. I swear, I tell myself the whole time during this worry. I worried so much, highly anxious, always worried, thinking about the worst case scenarios. So terrible. Worrying results in 4 negative consequences that should be avoided. The destructive thought impulses are transmitted to others. You know, if you're ever around a worry wart, it's like you could just feel that energy being off. Worrying paralyzes both the reasoning faculty, the synthetic imagination, and the creative imagination. When we worry, if you are a creative person or you're trying to get out of a situation or find a solution, worrying will shut down any capacity of your creative or synthetic imagination. We can't be creative and free and find solutions when we're worried. Oh, that's the worst. And it's when you need it the most, when we're super worried, we want solutions, but it's like a double-edged sword. We have to relax and trust to let the answers come to us. But when we are worried, we are freaked out, running around like chickens with our head cut off, and there will be no creative answer that will come to us. The fear embeds itself in the subconscious and works to produce its physical equivalent. Ooh, the fear embeds itself in the subconscious and works to produce its physical equivalent, just like we were talking about. This image here, the subconscious, our emotional mind, we keep thinking worried thoughts over and over and over, and it's embedded in our subconscious or emotional mind, this fertile soil. Remember, every thought is a seed, and we keep planting seeds of worry and doubt into the soil of our subconscious mind. Whatever is here will work to be reproduced in the outside world and cause our results. This is what runs the show. And if down here in this storehouse is nothing but fear, worry, and doubt, it's going to translate into our body, and then we will get the results in our life. That's why it's so important to take care of these worried thoughts. We cannot let them pass. We have to confront them. I mean, if there's a real worry or a danger, of course, protect yourself. But most of the time, they are just intrusive. We're addicted to it. We have to be honest with ourselves. So the fear embeds itself into our subconscious mind and works to produce its physical equivalent. And then number 4, worrying produces a negative, unpleasant personality. It's like, you know that movie Madagascar, Melman, and that giraffe? He was always worried. He was like a hypochondriac. He was always worried about everything. If you've ever been around someone who's like always worried, like always, they're not secure. It's like, get out of here. I don't want to go anywhere with that person. Ugh. All right. The cure for worry is decision. The cure for worry is decision. Wow. You know what? I just made a connection there. Like, if you heard me talking in the chapters on decision about how decision changed my life. And you know what? The more I talk to my clients, it's like, even this weekend, you know, I was talking about my sobriety journey, and people are like, how did you do it, Carla? How are you 4.5 years sober? How do you keep going? It's like, I made a decision. Honestly, it sounds so stupid and trite, so simplistic, but I made a decision. I was like, I am not going to drink anymore. This is bullshit. Was it easy? No, but I made a committed decision. There was no other option. Remember the word decide. The end of decide, C-I-D-E, means to cut off and to kill. Suicide, to kill off oneself. Homicide, to kill off somebody else. Pesticide, to kill off pests. Decide, for me, to cut off and kill any other option. There was no other option. When I decided not to drink, drinking was not an option. I didn't have to worry about it anymore. See, once you make a decision, the worry goes away. Does the temptation or the struggle or the pain or the situation? No, you have to be disciplined and focused and get the support you need, okay? But making decision eliminates worry. And then he goes on to these bullet points. The fear of poverty can be cured by making the decision. Ooh, and then he goes on to each of these 6 ghosts of fear. Ooh, in a way that we can make a decision. This is really good. So the fear of poverty can be cured by making the decision to make do with whatever financial resources one has. So accept where you're at. Make a decision that you're going to be okay exactly where you're at. If you're sleeping on someone's couch and you're bankrupt right now, make a decision. Okay, this is where I'm at. Now what? I'm going to make a decision that these results in my life are not going to hold me back from moving forward. I forgive myself. I am going to move on. I decide right now. The situation, these finances that I have right now will not dictate the decisions I make or where I'm going to go. And then make a decision about what you want, how you want to live your life. The next step you're going to make. But first we must decide to just be at peace and accept exactly where we're at and then move from there. Because if we keep denying it, if we keep beating ourselves up or worrying about our results or beating ourselves up about why we got there, it's just going to perpetuate the cycle of worry, doubt, fear, and paralyzing us, right? Not being able to make decisions. So decide right now to be okay with where you're at and then decide where you want to go. The fear of criticism can be cured by making the decision not to care about what other people think, say, or do. Easier said than done, right? But if you truly make a decision to not give an F about what anybody thinks, what would that look like for you? I mean, middle fingers up to anybody who like doubts you or who's a hater or who doesn't believe in you. Really, make a decision to not care about what other people think. The fear of ill health can be cured by making the decision to seek and trust medical professionals for care when one experiences symptoms. So, if you are afraid or there's something bothering you with your health, make a decision to seek out somebody that you really trust, a medical professional, to once and for all let you know what's going on and then deal with it. If you get a clean bill of health and you just realize you were just a worrywart and there was nothing wrong with you, move on from there. Make a decision. Okay, all my tests came back normal. I decide right here, right now, I will not worry about this anymore. Ooh, the fear of loss of love can be cured by making the decision to live a fulfilling, meaningful life with or without a romantic partner. I did this. This is so wonderful. You know, in my journeys, I have definitely settled in the past, but I made a decision. I will no longer settle. I will not settle. Even if it means being single for the rest of my life, I don't care. I don't think I will. But what I'm saying is, if you are making decisions because you fear the loss of love, chasing after people, trying to get other people's attention, because you're fearing that you'll never be loved or have a lot, just focus on service, focus on your dreams, on your goals, building yourself, loving yourself, and trust and know that you are going to be fine. Make a decision to live an amazing life with or without love. And if you're living like that, you will always probably attract a kind, loving partner, let's be honest. Focusing on yourself, it's like, you know, when you're not focusing on it, it comes to you. So making a decision that you're going to live a fulfilling life no matter what. So important, such an important decision to make. The fear of old age can be cured by making the decision to accept the aging process. Period. Simple. Not easy, but how can we more gracefully accept the aging process? Maybe we need to do more strength training, start taking better care of our skin, you know, changing our diet, whatever it is to age more gracefully and just accept it. And last one, the fear of death can be cured by making the decision to accept one's mortality, making peace with the cycles of life. We might not totally understand it, but just be willing. I'm willing to see this differently. I'm willing to be at peace. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be scared or cry or mourn the loss of other people or, you know, think about how much longer I have. Just live fully in the moment and accept that one day we will pass on. The general habit of worrying can be cured by deciding that nothing is worth the price it brings. That is the truth. Someone once said, worrying is prayer for the things you don't want. It's like praying for the things you don't want. When we worry, we're just focused on it and putting all of our attention, right? We're putting all of our attention on what we don't want. And then what do we get? What we don't want, because whatever's here will be here. All right, he goes into the seventh basic evil. Without doubt, the most common weakness of all human beings is the habit of leaving their minds open to the negative influence of other people. Hello, social media, we are wide open, but not here because we're talking about positive things, okay? An evil so great that it exists on an entirely different plane than the 6 basic fears is the susceptibility to negative influences. These influences can come from within yourself, from your own predispositions and tendencies, or from others. We are most susceptible to negative suggestions that harmonize with our own weaknesses. For remember, like attracts like. Ooh. The most profound weakness of humankind is that we have a habit of leaving our minds open to the negative influences of other people. Because these influences are so insidious, often working at the subconscious level to attack our ambition and faith in ourselves, they can be extremely difficult to detect. Again, what's going on down here is not conscious. Down here, we might feel like, oh, I'm unworthy. We're not walking around saying I'm unworthy. We might actually think we love ourselves and we have the highest self-esteem. But our results aren't showing that. We're not living confident. We're insecure. We're hiding. We're running away from opportunities because we have a low self-esteem here. We doubt ourselves. But we can tell people all day long and we can think consciously that we're capable. We read affirmations. But if it doesn't match our feelings down here, it will never show up out here. All right, so it can be difficult to detect down there in the dungeon of our subconscious mind. And even when we do recognize them, we find it difficult to confront them so that they can be corrected. We don't want to believe or have somebody tell us, you know what, your results don't really match your words. I think it's time to take a deep look. I had to do that. It's like, something ain't adding up here, girl. And I still do that every day. We do that every day. It's constant work. It's like we can either do this work proactively to have a good life, or do the hard work of sitting in our own stank in the results that we don't want. It's painful, right? It's hard work to be proactive and face our fears and change our old paradigms and our limiting beliefs. And it's also work to live mediocre and in fear and in worry and in doubt. To protect yourself from this evil, you must harness the force of willpower. Work to construct a fortress around your subconscious mind by using the conscious mind to actively identify and filter out destructive sensory stimuli. That is what this is, by the way. So this is that guard at the gate, right? The invisible line from our conscious thinking mind to our subconscious seed house, the subconscious soil, this precious, precious soil. And so these 5 antennae are the 5 physical senses that we surround ourselves with that take in data: see, hear, smell, taste, touch. That's why it's so important, if we can, to pay attention to what we're watching. What kind of conversations are we having? What are we surrounding ourselves with? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Because that will have a deep effect on the things that go into our subconscious mind and our conscious mind. And of course, we can't filter out every single thing, but let's do all we can to protect ourselves to make it easier for us. So using willpower, work to construct that fortress around your subconscious mind by using the conscious mind to actively identify and filter out destructive sensory stimuli. Keep away from negative, discouraging people, and instead surround yourself with people who encourage you to think and act for yourself. For yourself. Don't get caught up in the downward spiral of excuses for one's shortcomings. If does not explain away failure. It only evidences a lack of responsibility for one's life and results. All right, the last action item: create a mental environment for success. Use the inventory of the 6 basic fears and the 7th basic evil to assess which ghosts are haunting your mind. Approach this survey openly and honestly. Which symptoms can you identify in your own life? With which fears do you struggle with the most? Based on your personal assessment, make a decision and a plan of action for eliminating each enemy so that you have a mental environment that is highly conducive to implementing this success philosophy in its entirety. All right. So let's be honest with ourselves. What ghosts are haunting us? Is it the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, or the fear of death? And let's do our work to eliminate and create an environment for success. He has a conclusion here. It says, Think and Grow Rich is not a book that you read once and set aside. It is a book that you return to week after week, month after month, year after year to enhance your success consciousness and maximize your ability to translate your definite chief aim into reality. Bob Proctor, my mentor, studied this book every single day for over 60 years up until the day he died. He had me read certain chapters for like 60 and 90 days at a time. The same chapter I read: decision for 90 days, persistence for 90 days, autosuggestion for 90 days. It's embedded in my blood and bones. It's so amazing. Repetition is the key. The world's greatest entrepreneurs will tell you that they revisit the principles of Hill's book at least once a year to ensure the concepts remain fresh in their minds. Yes, we were just in Wise, Virginia, the Napoleon Hill Institute. All the certified coaches visited Wise, Virginia, the Napoleon Hill Foundation with Don Green, and we got to see the archives. It was so amazing. And there was so much material that has not even been published to the world. And there were so many thank you letters and gifts that are sent there on the regular from successful people all around the world. Athletes, famous people, just signing, thank you. I owe everything to Think and Grow Rich. It's so powerful. Now that you have completed the book, go back through chapter by chapter, day by day, and notice how your understanding of the achievement philosophy deepens and how in the process, new thought impulses enter your mind. That's the key to repetition. Why would we read the same book every day? Why would we read the same chapter every day? Nothing's new in it, but guess what? You're new. If you are truly learning and growing, you will not see something that's not in the book, but you will see something that you haven't seen in yourself yet as you learn and you grow. Like I said, when we studied the same chapter every day, it was the same words. I almost had them memorized. But when I really focused, I was like, oh, I never looked at it that way. Or, oh, wow, I get that on a whole new level. Or, wow, I see that in my life in this way. Or when I'm in my real life situations, these ideas come to me and I'm like, oh my God, yes, I could do this. Continue to journal about your progress, and you will be amazed at how much success you will find in just 10 minutes a day. So, this is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich in Just 10 Minutes a Day. That is what we read together. Thank you for being with me here. And of course, the classic, Think and Grow Rich. This is the one that is approved by the Napoleon Hill Foundation. It is the original text. The link is below. You can purchase this copy. It's the original. There's different edits and other versions that are online that aren't the true material. So again, all the links are below if you're a fan of Napoleon Hill and his success philosophies. I'm a certified coach at the Napoleon Hill Institute. We have so many programs. All my links are below to check them out, but we are doing some amazing things. There's an event happening at the end of this month, at the end of November, teaming up with some pretty powerful people. I think it's like a 5-day summit. So stay tuned. I always announce new things that are happening. Again, thank you for spending your time with me. Let me know any comments or questions. I think the next book we will be reading together, people, is The Science of Personal Achievement by Napoleon Hill, and it is disappearing behind my green screen. We're going to go through that book together, y'all. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.